Good morning. As you see me fixing my collar. Hey, gang, good morning. Sandy McDonald, the Director of the Office of Economic and Small Business Development, and I want to welcome you to the Technical Assistance Training. And I do get to say it for real. One of my favorites. You're certified, now what? So we're going to let folks get settled into the room, and we're going to talk about tell the truth, shame the devil, certified, now what? This really is a virtual workshop. And at some point, we will get back to this workshop being face-to-face. But it's virtual this morning. And this is the workshop to really make sure that you understand. At some point, we met you. At some point, you considered getting certified. Then at some point, you submitted your paperwork, probably went back and forth once or twice. But at the end of the day, you got certified. This is my message of welcoming you, but also either reminding you or informing you. Now that you're certified, congratulations. I don't want to act like it's not major. It's major. I am excited to have you. But now that you're certified, now what? How do you really engage the process? How do you really get county contracts that small businesses are really winning? How do you work with prime contractors where prime contractors are really subcontracting with our CBEs? How do you learn about the bid to the best of your ability before a bid ever hits the street? And what type of real research and homework, now that you're certified, do you need to do so we can be crystal clear to advantage yourself or put you and your business in a better position to win a county contract and or to be that subcontractor to a prime that's required to use our small businesses. And small businesses hear me all the time, no matter how much and how excited I am about our program. Always remind every small business, I can never guarantee that you go win a bid. I can't guarantee that. I'm not purchasing. And even the purchasing people that I have here today can't guarantee that. But what we can assure you, the more you know about Broward County's small business program, about the county's process, and we identify some of the people you need to meet, the more you know about the program, process, and people, you have a better chance of being successful in this competitive arena. And yes, I constantly remind my small businesses, no different than them in private industry, this is a competitive arena. But guys, as a program, we're here to help you advantage your opportunities in this competitive arena. So you'll still have to compete, but there are things you can do that would prepare you for opportunities where you too can be winning contracts like my other small businesses or winning more contracts than you're already winning. Next slide. So as we get ready to go through this process, I do have Constance, Connie as I call her, one of the people I met 9 years ago when I got here. She's our purchasing manager. And Connie's gonna be on this call today because we're currently creating a network of, or a series of workshops that our office with purchasing, and it's led by purchasing, which is a great thing, wants to do to make sure you guys really understand the devil in the detail about Broward County procurement. Understand this, and I often say it in other workshops. The county will always buy good material and services. The county outside the ordinance doesn't always have to use small business. But since the county is committed to using small businesses, the Business Opportunity Act, we're married to the procurement code. We can do nothing without being married to purchasing. Be clear. The county one day, 10, 20 years from now, could just buy goods from anybody. They don't need small business. But as long as the county has small business, they've decided that our shop is married to purchasing. So as purchasing is preparing opportunities with all the county agencies, they too work with us to assure their small business opportunities. So with that, I'm gonna give Connie here 30 seconds to say hello. I know she don't want to say nothing and she don't, So I can
No,
say
no,
hello.
good morning, everyone. So we're happy to join Sandy and his team on this presentation, but then also future presentations. So we actually have a team of purchasing agents on the line this morning. I'll just quickly introduce Wendell, Stacy, LaShawn, and Mary. So they're going to be assisting for upcoming sessions that we're going to be developing with Office of Economic and Small Business. So we're excited to work with OESPD as well as vendors as well. Thank you so much, Sandy.
No, thank you, Connie. Thank purchasing. Thank our new director, Robert. This is what we're trying to do. We're now trying to make sure all facets of small business participation, all facets of what potentially can be small business utilization, our small businesses need to be familiar with all the program, all the process, all the people, and exactly what it is that we do to afford you those competitive opportunities. Next slide. So again, this is our shop. This is our office. We're established here by the Broward County Commission. We get our goals based on a vision from the County Commission, the mission of what we're supposed to do as an office, and the goals as aligned with the county's vision. And we're about vibrant economy, diverse skills. We're about creating jobs. We're about affording small businesses opportunity to participate in county procurement. So we always use this slide because I want to be crystal clear. I've been here 9 years. The county didn't just think this up 8 years ago, 8 weeks ago, or 10 years ago. The county has always been committed to businesses in Broward, and the county has put a specific emphasis on small businesses in Broward. And our office is just one of the agencies in the county that's responsible for assuring that opportunities relevant to procurement, small business engagement actually happens. Next slide. Business Opportunity Act. And I'll talk about this a little bit more later when I get into the 3 Ps. But the BOA, at the end of the day, the county has agreed that at this point, at least 25% of what we do, we want to do with certified small businesses. We want to aggressively try to make sure with purchasing, with user agencies, as we're reviewing opportunities, the ordinance says at least 25% of what we do, we want to be doing with certified small businesses. So the first thing you need to know, certified now what? You are established by an act, an ordinance, the Business Opportunity Act. And again, I'll get into that later in another slide. Next slide. And guys, why do we do this as a county? There's an economic development component to who we are and why we do this. There are more than 77,000 businesses in Broward County. In case you didn't know, you are a part of a group of over 77,000 businesses in the county. But did you know the SBA, Small Business Administration, they classify small businesses as 1 to 500 employees. We get it. We understand it. We use the same classification. However, in Broward County, 89% of the businesses have 20 employees or less. So folks, we are a small business county, which on the economic development side, you now kind of understand why the commission has decided it makes sense to assure that at least 25% of what we buy, we might as well buy from businesses right here in Broward County. Because at the end of the day, the economic impact, the economic opportunity is that the small business who wins a county contract, that business has employees. There's a good chance that that business owner and most, if not all their employees, live in Broward. There's a good chance that if these contracts are made, if they're awarded, the businesses, as they make money, the employees and the owner, they pay their mortgage, they pay their rent, they go to the gas station, they go to the grocery store. They're turning dollars in our economy. So if we are truly a small business community, and if the county has to buy good material and services anyway, why not make sure some of it stays in our economy to drive our economy, to grow our economy? That's the genesis or the genesis of why we actually do this. I know some of you think we do it because we just love you and your small business. Well, we do, but we really do it because it's a way to grow the county. It's a way to continue to support your efforts in the growth of this county. So it really makes sense for us. So what I forgot to do when we got started, but I'm sure they did that in the chat. Hey, guys, we are going to have Q&A at the end. So definitely make sure if you have a question, put it in Q&A. But for the chat, give your shout outs. We want to know who's here. Remember, I'm always talking about networking. You want to know who's here. If we were doing this face to face, remember, I would say, look to your right, look to your left, look in front of you, look behind you, because you never know as a small business who is in the room that needs your services. And you never know as a small business who in the room you need their services. So use the chat as a way to say hello, shout out who you are. Don't be giving 20-minute speeches because you don't want to miss what we're saying, but certainly make sure you use the chat to make sure we know who you are. But if you got a question, let's put that in the Q&A for the end of the presentation. Next slide. Now we're going to get to the nitty gritty. I almost did this old song, now we're going to get to the good part. Guys and girls, the 3 Ps, program, process, people. What do I tell small businesses? At the end of the day, to advantage your opportunity, to understand in this industry of government what your opportunities are, to understand what the county is saying that they want to do. It is requiring us and other user agencies to do, requiring those who bid on contractors to do. You want to understand the program. You want to know where to find the program. But after the program, you then want to understand the process. It is a little different than private industry. You're not getting ready to take nobody to lunch or take someone to dinner with a good bottle of scotch and be guaranteed a contract. So it's not happening. But you do want to know what is the real process. How do we bid? What's the portal for bidding? Is there any way of getting information prior to a bid? Do you have engagement with primes or with other user agencies? You want to know the process, which is supported by the program. And then, yes, you want to know people. And I always have to be clear when I want to say people. Folks, everybody you think you need to meet and you want to meet, you're not going to meet. Agencies are not required to meet with you. And here's a legitimate reason why. As I mentioned to you, there's over 77,000 businesses in Broward. So if agencies just sat down and met with my small businesses and other businesses all day, we're not putting no contracts on the street. We're not getting anything done. So I do have agencies who schedule to meet. As you know, I have agencies and directors who come on my workshops and are willing to share information. As you know, we have other workshops that gives information in advance. As you know, we do an annual event that makes sure you find out about contracts and what agencies are looking to do. That's that contracting opportunities workshop that we do. But there are some people that are willing to take a meeting, or as mentioned, willing to do meetings with us with larger groups. We want to make sure you know who those people are. So let me also be crystal clear. I am not telling you that you can't ask anyone in the county to take a meeting. I'm just telling you, ask them. But if they choose not to, you can't say that they have to. See, this is one of those tell the truth, shame the devils. I just want to be honest with my small businesses. They don't have to take the meeting. However, there's always a lot of ways to skin that cat. There's always a lot of ways to get that information. There's always a lot of ways that I'm asking the wrong person to meet when I ought to be asking the right person to meet. So we're also going to talk about people. So the 3 Ps is really the focus of certified now what? Because we need to be clear. You got certified. And I'm going to show you just a few examples before the presentation is over of small businesses. Small businesses, we're not bringing these folks from Paris or Tennessee or California. These are local small businesses who are getting certified. And folks, they are winning contracts. Folks, they are partnering with primes winning contracts. Yet no promises made from this office other than assuring them the information we have, as soon as we have it, we're going to make it available. So let's dive into these 3 Ps. Certified now what? Program. We encourage you to know the ordinance. Now, at the end of the day, you don't have to learn like the back of your hand. But you need to know through the Muni Code, forget Muni Code, that's the municipal codes. Through my website, you can always go online and see the Business Opportunity Act. Now, what I'm gonna tell staff on every slide from here on out in the picture, we never say Business Opportunity Act. We never say again, last amended in May of 2018. The county commission did just pass a new resolution that we're now called BOA. We're the Business Opportunity Act, period. No more as amended, no more 2012. So I do want to change that because I don't want to get you confused. But the Business Opportunity Act, which is on my website, which I'm sure staff will give you the link, and they're probably doing it quicker than I'm speaking. Folks, you want to know that. Why do you want to know that? Because you want to know the real definition of an SBE. You want to know the real definition of a CBE. You want to know the real definition of a reserve. You want to know what the language is when we're contacting you about a sheltered market opportunity. You want to know what it is about that at least 25%, how the county tells me when I can shelter something, reserve something, or establish a goal. The Business Opportunity Act is the program. It describes what happens and what primes are required to do on a monthly basis if they say they're going to use small businesses. It speaks to what a prime must do if they're going to respond to one of purchasing solicitations about identifying which small businesses they're going to use if a goal applies, creating an LOI, getting your signature. They got to send that in the beginning. You need to know the program. It's your defense. Let's be crystal clear. It's your defense when speaking with the prime. On a 30% goal that they ask you to sign an LOI, that they say they're going to give you 15% of the 30 to provide specific services. And after they're awarded the contract, they turn around and say, I want to give you 12. You knowing the BOA say, no, sir, you can't change that. You need to know the program. So that's why we make available the Business Opportunity Act. That's your first P. Know the program. Since you're not going to learn it by heart, just always know where you can access it. But you definitely want to familiarize yourself with some of the definitions and the lingo or the language that speaks to small business opportunities. Because from our procurement side, from our small business side, from prime contractors utilization side, folks are going to be contacting you. They'll be asking you. They'll say, are you a CBE? Are you certified? Do you have your certification application? I didn't see you in the small business directory. Again, we're marrying you, now that you're certified, to a lot of tentacles where folks can find you. But when folks are finding you and they're speaking to SBE opportunity, CBE gold opportunity, CBE reserve opportunity, you need to know if that's you or not. You know right now, based on your certification letter you got from our office, did we certify you as an SBE, CBE, or both? You need to know that. You know, based on your application and my certification letter congratulating you, if and what NACE codes, what industry codes you were certified for. Well, understand this. We put this in the directory. So when primes are looking for small business, they're going to the directory. So if you got the wrong NACE codes, you're not going to get found. If you got limited NACE codes, you're going to miss opportunities. So you want to be clear who you are as an SBE, CBE, or both, and what your NACE codes are. Program. Learn, know, and understand the program, and know, because of the program, primes who might be looking to use you to meet their goal uses not only the program, but they use our directory. So that's the first P, really understanding the program, but more importantly, as I said, knowing where to find this information, Business Opportunity Act. Next slide. The 3 Ps in terms of process. You want to understand process because you're a business. And most of you, we may have certified you as a small business with us, but most of you were already businesses before you ever met me. Matter of fact, you primarily had to be 98% of you because the ordinance requires that a business be in existence at least a year before you get certified. So unless you was a startup entrepreneur, and unless I met you in one of our Kaufman courses, and then you went and started a business, and then a year later you came back and then you get certified, then maybe in that example, I met you before you ever was a business. But 98% of you or more, I met you and you were already a business. So you already understood, or you are beginning to understand in private industry, what it takes to win contracts. In private industry, what it takes and where do I go to find out about bids. In private industry, how do I introduce myself and my services to the one I'm looking to hire me? Private industry is the basis upon which you got established. Most of that is still true with government. Not all. I already told you about them lunches and that scotch, save your money. But most are true when it comes to government. We want to help you. Purchasing, as you heard Connie, those future workshops, we want to help you. Understand our process. And process is also that opportunity that when you're paying attention, and later on there's a slide called homework, and I'm gonna give you some examples. That's where you begin to advantage yourself over other small businesses. Folks, let's just be, once again, tell the truth, shame the devil. Everyone's not going to put in the same amount of effort. Our job consistently is to share the information with everyone. But you're going to decide based on capacity, capability, resources, and time, how much of the devil in the detail based on what we're sharing you can dive into to advantage yourself or get ahead of the curve to try to put yourself in a better position to win a contract or to be a sub to a prime. The opportunities without question are going to present themselves. The question is, how did you prepare? And what information did you have? And what dotted I's and crossed T's did you do to assure that when given that opportunity, you present yourself in the best manner, you submit a solid, complete application or response to a bid, you nurture the relationship with the prime contractor, or when given that chance, user agency for technical assistance or primes primarily for pitch. When given that limited time or opportunity, you can speak intelligently, not only about who you are, but about what they do, who they are, and how what you do can value them. Process. We want to make sure that you understand the procurement platform, Periscope, formerly known as BidSync. Process. We want to make sure you understand how to completely fill out a bid response. We want to make sure how you understand how to make sure the bids you're looking for find their way to the platform and to you, and not a whole bunch of other NAICS codes that's not about you. Process. We want to make sure that if you are part of our MAP, Mobility Advancement Program, the surtax, where we're also working with cities, we want to make sure through process you understand, don't look for city bids in Broward County's platform. We want to make sure you understand when it comes to MAP, known as surtax, the city bids are going to be on the city platforms. But process, we can also educate you to where to find the platforms for bidding for every single city. Platform, process, platforms, city or county, navigating a process. Folks, that's the second P. We don't want to leave you hanging. It means nothing if you got certified and you know where to find the program. You know that I'm a CBE, a county business enterprise. I know that I'm qualified. I know that I set myself up as a county vendor. I know that I'm in the small business directory. Certified and knowing the program is nothing unless you begin to understand the process of how to engage your opportunities, the process of learning as much as you can in advance about a future opportunity. That's the second P, folks, process. And workshops like this, upcoming workshops like the contracting opportunity that's going to happen in October, workshops that we're going to have, for example, Savika got one set up coming up for the surtax, another training. All of that's a part of the process. And what my outreach team has done, which is a great thing, we also acknowledge and recognize you're busy. You do not have time to be on here with me every day, every week. That's why all of these, especially those that are virtual, they're also recorded and give us 72 hours after any one given date. You will find them on our website. So even though we're getting ready to have our new contracting opportunities meeting later in October this year, folks, you can still go back to the one of last year and see what those agencies said they were going to be doing. You can trail to see via the county's agenda if they're actually doing it. And you had that in advance, so you really could have been seeing how or if you can carve a position or an opportunity out for yourself. So we're going to be talking about that through the process. So just want to let you know, other than this Certified Now What workshop, we dabble in process every single day, directly or indirectly, trying to make sure our small businesses are formulating their strategy based on their timeline to understand what they need to do to prepare to respond to a bid, or what they need to do and or who they need to meet in order to secure an opportunity as a subcontractor with the prime. All of that's under process. Next slide. And then the next one is people. And I am going to use that same example again, because I'm trying to tell you, I'm not trying to discourage you, and I don't want to waste your time. And I don't want my folks wasting your time either. And I don't mean me and my staff. I mean my county agencies and directors. Folks, we know that you've been taught to believe that if I can just get to that director and tell them who I am and what I do, that director's gonna give me a contract. I'm telling you, it's not gonna happen. I don't know of any of my municipalities. I don't know of any of the other 66 counties in the state of Florida. I don't know if my county's back in Michigan. I don't know when I was back in DC. I don't know who's telling you that if I can get to that director and tell him or her who I am and what I do, I'm getting the contract the next day. It don't happen. I've been in Broward County 9 years. It don't happen. Now, we know you want to get in front of that director because you've learned in your entrepreneurship courses and everywhere, even with this pitch thing, that you need to tell them who you are. You need to make sure that they understand what you do and that they have you on their mind next time they're doing something. Again, the reason I got people, folks, some of that really does make sense. Some of that is a part of the connectivity, but it's with the right person. Nope, I'm not demeaning my directors, but none of my directors are handing out contracts. None of my directors are telling you something specifically that relates to you that you can take and go stick in your bid response. They're not. Not saying that there's another person in their operation that does that, but when we say the 3 Ps are about people, that means you want to know the people based on the process supported by the county's program that can make sure you have all the information you need to participate in our procurement process. That's what our people are about. You have this office and my staff. When doing a bid, you'll see Connie and her team and everyone else in purchasing tells you about if you have questions during the bid, who to respond to. Those are the real people. You have the folks that we bring into the rooms. Keep October in mind, and I'm gonna have Ms. McCall within the next 2 weeks figure out that date, but it's still gonna be the first week of October. You have, when we do that huge contracting opportunities workshop, we normally bring in aviation, port, construction management, public works, sometimes arts and culture. We bring in park and rec. We bring in the purchasing division. We bring all the major buyers of the county into a room. They all take 5 to 7 minutes to tell you what their proposed projects are for the upcoming year or the next year and a half. That's why we do it in October. Nugget, golden nugget. County's going to approve the budget sometime in September. The new fiscal year starts in October. We try to do the meeting at the beginning of October because it's also letting you know the things that they're talking about, they've already got the money approved. So we do that session because those people not only present, you have the PowerPoint, and then they even chat with you at the end of the session. And some of them actually schedule to meet with you. The people we're talking about, when I say program, process, people, are us understanding you, you understanding the county's program, you understanding the process, and then based on understanding the process and some of the things you're seeking to find out about, even in advance, who's the right people. So I do want to be clear. Yes, there are some right people. And yes, there are some right people that'll even take meetings. Many of the right people work closely with us and they do the workshops as soon as I ask them to do it. And some of the right people on the strategic planning side has even came and did workshops for me when they told you what they're looking to do. That's that future planning. And they told you how to trail their agency. And then by time they were actually ready to do it, you would have had an opportunity to garner information to make sure if there's an opportunity for you and your business, you were there. Now, most of it, guys, even when it comes to the people, for a lot of our industries, because we do a lot of janitorial services, we do a lot of construction work, we do a lot of road improvement work. For a lot of those trades, it's really clear, concise, and cut. You get the information from us on the front end. You are invited to meet these people through the meet and greets we do and some of the other pre-bid meetings that we do. You get to research past contracts. You get to identify past agreements, and you are ready when the bid comes out. A lot of it really flows that way. But some of you on the strategic side, especially my friends in the IT industry, especially my friends in the project management industry, some of that strategically, you have to look at the bigger picture of where the county's going and use more of the process and the people we're placing in front of you to try to determine where you fit in and then carve a strategy out for yourself. But we're willing to share that with you. I just don't want someone to believe, since I've been here, and I know I've never said it, I've always said what I'm saying now, that you're going to meet someone and automatically that bid is going to come out and it's going to sound like you and you're going to get it. I'm the first person to tell you that's not how it's going to happen. But there are people as a part of the process you do want to meet, and I don't want you to miss that. So that's the third P, program, process, people. So again, when we're doing our workshops, when we're doing our outreach, when the user agency is notifying us through a goal request or a shelter market request of what they want to buy, and then my staff is going to take a look through the NACE codes or sometime on the shelter market side, they're sending you emails. Some of you get emails and calls on the shelter market saying an agency is looking to do A, B, and C. I saw you in the directory. Are you interested? Folks, you got to pay attention to your email because the program says my staff got to find at least 2 before I can shelter it. If we're not getting the emails back or getting the calls back, we might not be sheltering something that goes to open market. And I had 5 or 6 small businesses who couldn't respond it. You want to understand and stay engaged through the program, the process, and the people, but you definitely want to know from a program perspective who you are, process how to navigate based on who you are, and people, who are the right people. If I'm gonna meet anybody, if I'm gonna take a meeting, I might as well really take it with somebody who can advantage me versus just take it based on title. That's the other part. Next slide. So here we go. Poll 1. We might need to change this. What are your expectations now that you're certified? Matter of fact, I do want to change this. On the next presentation of certified now what? Pam and team, make this my first slide. Because that's the questions. What are your expectations now that you're certified? We used to do this face to face, and I had people saying, well, I'm going to wait for the bids and I'm going to bid. Now, if that's your expectation, bids are going to come. And I did hope that they would bid. But based on that expectation, that wasn't going to have a good outcome. If your expectation is I'm certified and I'm just going to wait for the bids to come and I'm going to bid, that is a process. Bids will come if you signed up. And if you follow and respond back, you'll be competitive in terms of the process. But are you favoring yourself or giving yourself the best opportunity to win? So that's a legitimate question, and we want you guys to think about always. What are your expectations now that you are certified? You know, throw me some of those in the chat because we do, seriously, we do look at them. And we want to get some of the ideas. And as I just gave in that last example, some of the things that people say, I throw into the next workshop. I need to be clear what my folks' expectations are, because if their expectations is out in left field, I need to pull them back. If their expectations is undermining or limiting their opportunities, I need to lift them up. And if their expectations are spot on, I need to say kudos to you, but then challenge them to follow what they're saying. Guys, you know this better than I. This is business. And I also tell this to small business. The small business program, as outlined in the Business Opportunity Act, affords eligible businesses to participate in county procurement as Broward County certified small businesses. That's what small business certification is about. I actually certify, I don't even qualify. I certify you. But when bidding, or if fortunate enough to win a bid, I remind all of my small businesses, now is just business. The certification program engaged you, created opportunities directly with the county or indirectly through a prime. And because of your eligibility, that small business certification got you to the table. But guys and girls, when bidding, and more importantly, if you win a bid, now it's strictly business. You have to be able to deliver. That's the business side of this small business program. Next slide. So if your expectation is to find the gold, don't get it twisted. That's a real expectation. I support that expectation. This program is for naught if small businesses are not winning. Do not get it twisted. I'm an economic development director. I'm the small business director. I believe in business. I believe in small business, but I believe in folks getting paid. This is all for naught if you are not making money. So if your expectation was gold, that's fine. Next slide. The reality, to get to that gold, not that goal, that gold, folks, it's work. It really is work. Remember, I gave you an example. You can get registered as a vendor. You can eventually get certified. You can wait on bids to come. Good luck in winning a competitive bid. Or you can do the work prior to a bid and during a bid to try to put yourself in a better position to win a bid. So the reality is, the expectation is fine. I don't want you to remove that. My small businesses, and now I'm personalizing it, my small businesses in this program are winning contracts. They're making money. They're growing their business. They're growing out of my program. Average of $5 million a year over 3 years, I got folks graduating. Average of $9 million in construction over 3 years or less, I got folks graduating. That means that companies are making more than $9 million a year over 3 years in construction, and some in other industries are doing more than $5 million a year over 3 years. So keep that gold expectation. Just understand the reality is that there's some real work that comes with it to get it. Next slide. CBE and SBE programs doing business with Broward County. Next slide. I'm going to run through these pretty quick, but they got that next poll for you. What certifications do you have? Put those in the chat because our team is going to use that later. CBE, SBE, DBE, ACDBE. Don't forget, we do administer the federal program, 49 CFR, Code of Federal Regulations, for the transportation and aviation opportunities whenever the county spends money from DOT, Department of Transportation. We don't do my CBE, SBE. When the county spends those federal dollars, we do certifications for DBE and ACDBE, which are different eligibility criteria. But just stick into the chat for us so my staff will know and I know who I'm speaking to today. What certifications do you have? Next slide. SBE Reserve. Understand this. OSBD conducts surveys to identify available certified small businesses for projects under review. In the end, agencies give us a sheltered market request form. When they're looking to buy something $250,000 or less, they send that to us. At the end of the day, if staff finds at least two, knowing that we got at least two that can provide the good material and service, we can reserve it. Folks, that's our SBE reserve program. It's the sheltered market program. It's when you do get that phone call or you get that email saying, hey, we're looking to procure A, B, and C. Do you provide this service? And we need to know because we're trying to determine if I got at least two. Yes, via the ordinance, via Business Opportunity Act. If I got two in the directory, I can do it. I don't want to waste people's time. I don't want to waste purchasing's time. So on the sheltered market, we will email and or call you because we're looking to make sure I really do have two who can deliver it. Now, why am I saying that slowly? Because some of these industry codes, these NAICS codes, they're almost like umbrella. I need to stop saying umbrellas. They're almost like a big bucket. The NAICS codes captures a whole lot. And when some of our agencies are procuring a good or service, it's narrow to what they want. So you might be an engineer, but you might not be this topographical engineer that they're looking for right now. So we be contacting you because the next code could be relevant or the same, but we need to know, do you provide this specific service? So that's why understanding program, understanding process, when it comes to sheltered market reserves or SBEs, if you get an email or a call from this office, your alarm should go off. Oh, they're asking me about an SBE opportunity. Oh, they're doing so because they need at least two of us to reserve it. Oh, the ideal of reserving it means that it's really us competing against each other. There's other ways later for a big boy to knock you out if you don't respond. But for the most part, you know, the county is looking to buy it from us. So I probably need to respond. Oh, after I respond, yes, this is what I do. Yes, I'm interested in bidding. Maybe when I get through with that email on my own time, I'll go look into the county's directory for that specific NAICS code that I'm in. And I go see how many other small businesses are they who are doing the same. That's just a baseline of understanding. Sandy Shop got to get at least two. But if it's five of us, you know, that means I have a 1/5 opportunity. If there's four of us, I got a 1/4 opportunity. I mean, those are the kind of things you want to tell yourself, never to discourage you from bidding. If you saw 30, don't get discouraged because you know, like yourself, everybody's not going to respond. Everybody's not going to be responsible, whoever responds. Everybody's price doesn't meet mine. You know, so never discount yourself, but begin to do your own homework to understand what your opportunity is. That's the SBE reserve. Next slide. CBE reserve. So get it straight. When we get the goal request form, and let's say it was a $4 million project, and we were going to establish a 25% goal, that's the goal. But do understand, my staff, those small business specialists, when they're looking at this, and they're getting to know you guys through the directory, through the NAICS codes, through our workshops, through the calls back and forth when you win contracts or when you don't, they might say, wait a minute, for this procurement of $4 million, I have 9 firms that can provide these services. So instead of just setting a 25 or 30% goal, staff have a right to make a recommendation to Donna Ann, who's the small business manager. Maybe we need to reserve this. That means take this entire $4 million project and reserve it as a CBE reserve. The spirit and the intent of the CBE reserve is that CBEs now compete against themselves and not the big boys. Yes, we're not gonna waste nobody's time. So big boys do get to respond to the bid, but get big boys off your mind. If enough CBEs responsibly respond, the CBE reserve is going to a CBE. When my CBEs don't respond, when my CBEs are found to not be responsible or responsible, there is a second section that allows us to look at non-CBEs and set at least a 25% goal. But I need you to be clear knowing the program and the process. When you read a bid and it said CBE reserve, it's because me and my team on the front end believe we had enough CBEs that we'd rather reserve it. So when we reach out to you for a CBE reserve, please respect the fact that we're doing it because we believe that you guys can now show yourselves to be a prime contractor. And as long as all the work is done by CBEs, let's say you see it and you can do 80% of the work, go after it. Just the other 20%, use another CBE. Use 2 more CBEs. understand CBE reserve. Again, if you know the program and if you know what you're certified under, based on process, whenever staff reach out, you should know when they're talking about CBE reserve, oh my goodness, this is a chance for us to do it ourselves. This is a chance for me to do it as a prime and use other CBEs. This is a chance for me to bid against CBEs and not the big boys. That's the reserve program. You need to know that. Next slide. Goal and procurement preference for applicable projects, as we mentioned. For the CBE program, we start with the ordinance at least 25%. Before a no goal or reserve determination, hey, I got this cute thing that we call the Geller rule. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but it's the Geller rule. Because he came up with the idea that, hey, before we just go to the open market, let's take 30 days to go try to find a CBE. So I like that. And we've done that a couple of times already. That we might get something from a user agency and we, within the time frame, realize we really don't have it, or we really thought we had it, or one or two firms may have not got recertified or renewed, or we need to figure something out. If we're not slowing down procurement in the user agency, we will ask them to give us those 30 days. And to date, we haven't been turned down. If they give us the 30 days, we now with outreach do immediate target outreach to try to find the firms that could be eligible so we can set a goal or we can end up reserving something. So that's a good rule that I like. That's a rule that the commission is favoring you small businesses, that in the case when I don't have what I need and it's not an emergency for purchasing on a user agency, they will allow us to go get 30 days to make it happen. So that's the ideal of goal and procurement preference. Next slide. More for no goals or reserve. Again, here's where the commission with purchasing are looking to work with our businesses. If at the end of the day, I don't have any, or I had one, or they didn't respond and I didn't establish the goal, or I didn't establish the reserve, if a small business still responds and they're bidding against the big boy, this is where within a 10% of a non-certified firm, they can get some preference, or I like to say some love. And on another scenario, when it's an RFP, they can get 5% of the lowest score of the proposer. So let's be clear about this. Sometimes I don't establish a goal because I can't, because you didn't respond, or I didn't see it in the NAICS codes, or we didn't have it in the directory. When we put the solicitation out, when purchasing puts it out, if you end up responding because there was no goal or no reserve, these two steps would favor you as a preference with the big boys. That's the lamest way of putting it. If you are a CBE and there was no established goal, there was no established reserve, and you decided to bid, and we would encourage that, bid. And even if there's no goal, if, as I said, Broward certified CBEs and SBA have the opportunity to match the bid, if they are within 10%, that favors you as a preference. Under the RFPs, if they are within 5% of the lowest score, that preferences you as a small business. That's just another way of assuring that even the single small business, when a goal or reserve is not established, has an opportunity. So that's something else that we want to make sure as a part of the program that's written in that BOA. Next slide. Here's some bid do's and don'ts. And, answer all the questions, submit your bid on time, early. Oh my goodness, stopping right there. Folks, the bid is due on July 20th at 2:00. Do not start submitting your bid at 1:00. Do not start submitting your bid at noon. What's my advice? 5 hours or at least 1 day before the bid is due. See, I don't want no gray areas. 5 hours or at least 1 day before the bid's due. Anything after that, you're gambling. You're gambling for real. Because again, and I'll let Connie or one of her folks speak up right now, guys, technology glitches, it's not an excuse. If that machine that you're using shuts down, guys, that's no excuse. I was trying and I got halfway there. Anyone from purchasing, if you want to just add to that for 30 seconds or 45 seconds, please do, or confirm that I'm not making it up. It is what it is. Hey, that's not an acceptable reason for the county to waive and accept your bid that came in at 203 because your system went down. Connie, or
That-
anyone you want to add to that?
Yep, that's absolutely correct, Sandy, and thank you, because we all have gray hairs here as well. When it's approaching 2 o'clock, are we getting bids in or not? You can't rely on that we're gonna extend it. Often we see other bids coming in, not an issue. It's, old days of you got stuck at a traffic light. If you miss the bid opening, you miss the bid opening. These days, if you're past the 1:59 and 59 seconds, the system will lock you out. So to Sandy's point, there's, you can, don't wait until the last minute. And also in Periscope, you can get all your documents done ahead of time, and then you can jump in for the actual prices. But you want to make sure that you reviewed it, you've entered it, leave yourself time, making sure, again, back to no mistakes, and that you're getting your best bid in.
Thank you for that. So guys and girls, certified now what, when it comes to these bids, do's and don'ts, give yourself every opportunity to be successful. Do not allow Mother Nature, technology, and nothing else to keep you from participating in a process. And again, this is another one of the reasons why we're going to be doing a series of workshops with purchasing, to really dive in more to the applications themselves, to the response themselves, to understand the platform themselves, and also understanding how you can engage the process before the process. Remember, purchasing is going to have to be ethically and legally appropriate to make sure we're not advantaging someone while disadvantaging someone else. So we're sharing information that anyone can have. Small businesses, prime, businesses in the county, businesses outside the county. It's clear, consistent information that we're going to make available. Our job is to make sure as a small business, you understand that information. And where there's opportunities to research and get more information to help you, that's our day job. But when it comes to this bid stuff, play no games about waiting to the last minute. Play absolutely no games about waiting to the last minute. Next slide. And responsive and responsible. Again, when you do the workshop with purchasing, they'll give you more of those details. But at the end of the day, guys, here's another part. Read the bids. Read the definitions. Read the expectations. Because at the end of the day, it's not enough just to send the bid. Don't sit here in a rush and just send something. Your bid has to be responsive. Your bid has to be responsible. You have to be able to deliver what you're saying. You have to be able to demonstrate that you are who you are. You have to give the documents that they're asking for. Folks, this is government, which means we're using taxpayers' money, which means there's things that we have to do to assure, since my program is only certifying, I'm not qualifying you. We got to assure that as a vendor, as a business, you are who you are and you can deliver what you say. This is a part of the process, not just the process to make sure that you're bidding properly, but the beginning of the process to make sure that you can do what you say. So please understand responsive and responsible. Next slide. And the different types of solicitation, again, I'm glad we got Connie and the team on, but just as an example, this is what they're dabbling in, the quotes and the bids, the RFP, request for proposal, and the RLI, request for letters of interest. Again, most of my small businesses, when reading the solicitation, when being contacted by the prime, you will understand what that bid is and what opportunity there is for you based on our program and a goal being established or reserved. But just wanted to throw that out there. And again, down the road in more technical assistance trainings with purchasing, we'll dive into these type of things. Next. And vendor registration. You're certified. So guess what? You're not certified with me if you're not already a vendor. So I might even throw this slide at the beginning somewhere, because technically you're not certified with me if you're not a Broward County vendor, because you don't have access to no bids being certified with me if you're not a Broward County vendor. So in case you are on this call today, which is why the slide is still important, this is to let you know, even before you ever get certified with me, if you think what we're saying today gets you excited about becoming a certified small business, you must register to be a Broward County vendor first. And key point, you can be a Broward County vendor, register without even being certified. You can start participating in bids before you even meet me or get certified. So don't lose out opportunities waiting on me. You must be a Broward County vendor to participate. BidSync, formerly known, which is now Periscope S2G, is the system that you would go in, and guys and girls, it's free. Now, at the end of the day, they want to sell you about bids in Tennessee, Texas, and California. You got to pay for that. You're probably getting pop-ups from them about paying for that. But if you just simply want to be a Broward County vendor and you want to have access to the bids that Broward County put out, you can register for free. Next slide. Make Periscope S2G a habit. The other thing that I tell our small businesses, and it's not wasting anyone's time, because professionally and being transparent, when bids go out on the street, anyone eligible has a right to respond. I'm a shortlist this, make Periscope and S2G a habit, because you should. You want to become familiar with it. So what do I recommend to folks? Do not allow the first time you go on our system is when you're going to bid. Go look at it. To be honest, you're not wasting no one's time. Bids that you're eligible for, use that as a practice process to bid. You might know you're losing, but you need to familiarize yourself with that platform and that process. You know, I don't want you to wait till the last time or the first time is something that you definitely feel that you're good with and you can't navigate the system. Learn about the system. But again, that's another one of the upsides of what we're getting ready to do as a series with purchasing. We're going to make sure that we try to give you all the information you need about Periscope S2G and the bidding process. Next slide. And network, guys. Purchasing and user agencies and some of their major projects do pre-bid meetings, and many projects along with the pre-bid meeting, we also do meet and greets, our workshops, our virtual workshops, our training, our conferences. Guys, network with us, network with each other. Don't waste your time, because one of the things I say about network, at some point, your network has to increase your net worth. So just don't be meeting to be meeting. Just don't be going to places just for the sake of going. At some point, strategically make sure that the networking you're doing, even with us, is leading you to opportunities to grow your net worth. Next slide. And engage. There's a lot of ways to stay engaged with us. Our business assistance weekly. Make sure that you're receiving that newsletter every Wednesday night. Comes out tonight, I think, around 6:15 or so. Make sure that we are aware, of who you are. We know it through certification, but it's no different than what I said at the beginning of this meeting. We're serious when we say, shout out in the chat who you are. That's letting others know, but that's also letting us know. And at the end of the day, we are interested, because we also do workshops through our outreach department. And from time to time, when we bring in industry experts to speak, we use industry experts. My staff don't speak on everything. We bring in industry experts. Sometimes some of you can be those industry experts. You know, you saw that in May when we had our conference. Sometimes we need to use some of you as examples for other small businesses. That is real. That is happening. So there's multiple ways to stay engaged, but one of the key ones is that Wednesday night newsletter. Everything you need to know or be reminded of is in that Wednesday night newsletter. So no matter what happens, if you send an email to econdevinfo@broward.org, we will add you to the newsletter. And I'm assuring you, if you even sent it today, we'll add you to make sure you get the one tonight around 6:15. Okay, there you go, outreach. I just put some pressure on you. If they send it throughout the day, I still want to make sure that they get the newsletter tonight. Next slide. So guys, create a strategy to stay engaged. Now, you know, again, you're too busy to build every single workshop with me. You're too busy to do every single face-to-face with me. But you got to get this information. We're just trying to make sure you know that the information is available. The trainings are available. The technical assistance is available. You need to create a strategy to not just stay engaged, but to follow up on processes that afford you more information, where staying engaged can lead to you winning a contract. Again, if you're not winning, it's for naught. This is business. And no, I don't want you to put all your eggs in this basket. I started a small business 5 years ago. I got certified 2 years ago. And the only place I'm gonna focus is Broward County. Don't do that. Let me be the first one. And I love my county. I love my job. Do not tell me that the only place you're trying to get business is Broward County. Don't do it. Don't do it. We should be one of the many opportunities. That's why another one of our taglines is Broward and beyond. We want to work with small businesses to grow their opportunities in Broward and beyond. Next slide. But folks, this is what it's about. Do your homework. You have to do your homework. So you just heard me talk about BALL. I want you to look at BALL, the Business Assistant Weekly, a little different tonight. There's a section in BALL, and I think it's called Hot Tips. It shares a lot of information, but most of it is about the surtax. So if I tell you that our office reviewed a $3 million contract under surtax with a specific city, we give you the dollar amount, we give you the recommended goal, and we tell you a little bit about the scope. Folks, if you hear that in my newsletter, or if you read that in my newsletter tonight, you need to know the bid don't go on the street tomorrow. I'm telling you about what I reviewed. Here's your homework. If I reviewed it, it's a recommended goal. The project still has to be approved by the MAP administration team. Once the project is approved by the MAP administration team, that then gives the city the authority to now put the solicitation on the street. The solicitation that goes on the street will include our small business language, including the goal. So when you see it on the street from that individual city's platform, recognize 3 weeks, sometime as much as 2 to 3 months, you had that because you read it in a Wednesday night newsletter. So in between the street and seeing it first in my newsletter are all the opportunities for you to contact the city or trail it through that city's website, or to stay in touch with our newsletter to get as much information as you can about the project. So when it does hit the street, you got a little bit more that you're aware of. If you realize the project is really going to be about a goal, it helps you to begin to do your research, your homework. Let me find out who are some of the prime contractors that currently works in that city, who would most likely bid on something like that in that city. That's what I was saying at the beginning of the workshop. Certified now what is real. But post-certification is still going to require you to do some homework. And it's because of that homework I told you, nope, you can't see all of my workshops. You can't be at all of my face-to-face. Don't do it. Get the information as best you can, your own strategy, pick which resource is best for you, and then do your homework to put yourself in a better position. And whether you're doing that with the county, or whether you're doing that with the cities, do the surtax, or whether you're just doing that combined, we also recognize you're a small business. And we also recognize you can't do 10 or 20 at the same time. So that's why not only was it a strategy to engage, it's a strategy to determine where best are your opportunities. Folks, that's the business side of preparing for a bid. See, that's the side you probably didn't want to hear that I got to make sure I'm sharing. You really do have to prepare to respond to an opportunity. That's the key. I call it, you got to do your homework. But at least we're sharing with you where to get the answers. We're sharing with you some of the upcoming next steps. We're sometimes even providing for you and putting in front of you the people you need to talk to or the information you need to gather. So stay in touch with us based on the capacity and the resources you have. Follow the newsletter. Make the virtual meetings that make sense for you. Make the face-to-face meetings that make sense for you. But please understand, all this is wrapped up in knowing and acknowledging. Certified now what? I got to do my homework. Next slide. Here's some other groups and organizations that if you're on the planning side, the front end of your business side, you're trying to get on the technical assistance side, we always just have this on our resource on our ED site here at the office. These are just other organizations that also work with small businesses. You can find technical assistance in a lot of different ways. I'm not giving you extra assignments, but I got to tell you, there's far more than just Broward County government who can help you become better at your bidding opportunities, but there's also more than Broward County government who can provide you resources and support and bonding capacity and other opportunities to be a small business to engage these opportunities. So we wanted to make sure you knew who some of our partners were. Next slide. Question. Okay, I'm ready. Now what? That's it. You're ready. Now what? Next slide. And we're coming into the home stretch. If you're ready, then understand you start to put some strategies together. Now, Connie and Mr. Gleason, the director, and the rest of the purchasing team will eventually give me a new number. But going into COVID, and I do want to find out what my number was last year in 2021. The county used to procure about $1 billion of goods, materials, and services. Folks, that's a beautiful thing. Do your own math. If the county's buying $1 billion, what's at least 25%? Okay, that port has activities coming out and projects. That convention center expansion and new hotel has over $1 billion of activity. And that Fort Lauderdale International Hollywood Airport has a $3+ billion master plan that they're already beginning to rock and roll. And that's inclusive of a Terminal 5. Did you know that Broward's now going to eventually have a Terminal 5? Did you know that there's going to be an intermodal transportation network by which at some point down the road, your family and friends will fly into FLL and they'll catch that little train on over to the convention center as well as the port? All of those are upcoming projects. So your strategy for opportunities need to know Broward is really buying. Not again, Broward is really buying, and you also need to know small businesses are really winning. Next slide. Small businesses are winning, gang. And you can find these on our newsletter. You can find these on our website. Hey, yep, don't get me wrong. There's some $10,000, $15,000, $25,000, $80,000 winners there are, but I need you to know there are businesses like you. It's not me running my mouth. There's businesses like you who are making money, who are growing their business. You have to engage the process. That is real and it's regular. Next slide. So here you go. Did you know that you as a small business can participate in large projects? Convention Center Phase 1 exceeded the goal we were looking for. The Convention Center expansion in the new hotel will be a 25% goal. The CBE certification program works. I don't know if my team got that slide, but I'm still going off of memory. December 2021, we closed out the expansion Phase 1 portion of the Convention Center. The county paid a little bit over $180 million. A little more than 62 million of that were paid to 49 small businesses. They were exceeding my 30% goal, on the expansion of the convention center, the new hotel, the 800-room Omni Hotel. That vertical construction is going to be about $650 million. There's a 25% small business goal on the vertical of that hotel. We will make sure that those small businesses are used. Other small businesses are added. The key is getting information as soon as you can and understanding where you can carve your own opportunity out. Look out for a future meet and greet with Balfour Beatty, the prime contractor, on that vertical construction as we get ready to close this calendar year, somewhere around September or October. Next slide. Participating CBE firms, again, we don't mind and folks need to know. And if you start winning, I don't know if you're trying to hide money from anybody. Understand, you winning, you're in our program, we're sharing your name, we're sharing your company. These are those firms I described to you. Next slide, on that first part of the convention center. Firms 14 through 25, you see the dollar values, 69,000, 1 million, 3.7 million, 1.3 million, 124,000. Next slide. Businesses 25 through 37. You see we got some more 12,000 contracts, $15,000 contracts. 88, you see a $5 million contract, you see a $9 million contract. Next slide. And here are some more of the businesses. We want to do this because some of you now have known me for 9 years. A great deal of you know me for at least 5. And guys, what I was telling you back in 2013, definitely in 2015, as we were rounding out this new program to have it make sure that it was substantive and accessible to our small businesses as we grew our small businesses. I got to keep doing this because you know their names. You know these businesses. Some of you are part of this. Some of you on this call today are these businesses. Understand, even without the major big contracts like the convention center, that's why we showed some of the other ones earlier. The individual small contractors or the individual small contracts is also happening. And don't get me wrong. Yes, we use a lot of trades, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, planning, contract. We use a lot of it as the examples. But remember the BOA, the Business Opportunity Act. Anything the county procures, we have a chance to set goals and reserve. If we got small businesses, we need to do more in certain areas. I know everyone on the front end of project management would love for the county to do more. I know everyone on the front end of design, my A&E people, would love for the county to do more. So we're certainly working with our agencies to do more. I know that a lot of my folks who are in leadership training and development, peer development, consulting are excited that HR are using them now. HR exceeding their 25% goal when even the county does facilitations or when we do retreats or when we're doing workshops using professional consultants. Yes, those folks need to get certified because even HR has a goal of at least 25%. And my small businesses are winning contracts in the HR consulting side. So remember, the ordinance is centered around anything the county buys that we get to review and set a goal. But yes, a lot of vertical construction is happening, and those are most of the projects we're showing. But again, I want you to know it's anything the county buys. We buy a lot. We don't buy everything, but for the things we buy, the program itself can be applied to. Next slide. And MAP, Mobility Advancement Program, you guys know it, and I love to say it as surtax. Yeah, folks, we're trying to carve out 30% of that for small businesses. The MAP program here in this county, that's that penny surtax. We're collecting about $355 million a year, every year for 30 years. That's about $16.7 billion the county can spend only on transportation operation, transportation services, infrastructure in the county, including the 31 cities, and the future of rail. But we recognize for that $355 million, all of it aren't eligible for small business. What's my best example? Well, the county's already brought a fleet of electric buses. No small business in Broward or in the country is certified by DOT to make buses. No small businesses in Broward or in the country is certified by DOT to sell buses. So even though we're going to be spending some of that $355 million to buy buses, I couldn't set a goal on that. But what we did is we said conservatively, let's just take about 175 or 177 million. Let's just take half. If I was to take 177 million a year, and I was to do that for 30 years, and if I was to put a 30% goal on it, guys and girls, that means about 53 million a year I can be carving out for MAP. That's what we're looking to do based on county and city projects. We're looking to try to put 53 million into play every year for small business. That's the MAP program. And here's the thing you need to remember. It's a 30-year program. We got 27 more years to go. Start talking about strategy. Pay attention to the funding source and where the business opportunities are. Folks, there's opportunity in the county's surtax, or better known as MAP, Mobility Advancement Program. There's real opportunities. Next slide. Surtax estimated. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this slide, but I need you to know, as I mentioned to you earlier, it's more than just the small businesses, more than just meeting the goal. It's the idea that we're impacting the economy. We're growing the economy. There is a true return on investment by the county buying goods, materials, and services and making sure at least 25% of the goods, materials, and services they buy with small businesses. That money turns around and it begins to demonstrate the GDP. It starts talking about the gross domestic product. It starts talking about how much money is actually flowing and going into our economy because of these jobs. How many jobs are we creating because we set these goals? It has a larger impact than just my selfishness of wanting small businesses to participate. It's more than that. It's the idea that we're also pouring additional dollars into an economy. Next slide. MAP, these were some more of their wins. Want to make sure that you also knew, different than what we showed on those other screens. Here's contracts being won. Heck, we even got CDs who are going after the whole project. Now, this is a subcontractor as the prime, and they're winning. Slide. some more of those examples with projects awarded to CVEs as prime contractors. And again, different dollar values. You see that $1.8 million, you also see 140,000. It's real. This stuff is available. This information is available in advance. You can find out about this before there's ever a bid. Again, Savika got a couple of trainings coming up down the road where we're going to be working with the cities to make sure that they too are following the entire process. But we're also going to be talking about more projects on the horizon that's going to be coming up through MAP. Want to just make sure that you guys know as we bring this home, small businesses are participating and small businesses are winning. We got to make sure that you are taking advantage of every opportunity to do the same. Next slide. And next slide. And that was another one of the examples at the town of Southwest Ranches, where another one of our contractors bid, won, and oh, I like that green stamp. They got paid. Again, it's for now the folks not getting paid. I don't want you winning and not getting paid. I don't want you winning and taking forever to get paid. There's a program. We're also your advocate. We also work with purchasing. We work with user agencies. We're now working with the cities only under MAP. Guys, we really want you to realize real opportunities, real small businesses getting paid. Next slide. And it's survey time, because after survey, I think we're going to go to Q&A. So let's pop up your survey. We want your feedback. We always want to know how we're doing, what we're doing. Surveys help us to determine what type of workshops we do. We're getting ready to close a calendar year and a fiscal year. So we're going to be looking at different type of workshops for next year. But we definitely want and need your feedback. So there's your customer satisfaction survey that we want you to take the time to fill out. It's not a whole bunch of questions. I think it's about 5 or 6 by the time they're done with it, if it's 2 pages or not. And then we're going to get into that Q&A, guys. This is the certified now what? And we hope that we were able to give you some information to let you know. Let me be clear about this. This was the certified now what workshop. The part of the now what is you engaging all the different things I said based on the different workshops that'll be coming up, the different trainings and technical assistance that'll be coming up, getting access to the resources and the people that we'll be sharing, and getting access and information on bids as we get it, so you can go back and do your homework. So that's what the workshop was about, to make sure you understood. Glad you're certified. Congratulations. The now what is showing you that if you strategize, you learn the program, you learn the process, you begin to identify the right people, you can then engage prior to a bid to see where your real opportunities are or your best opportunities are. The difference between your real opportunities and your best opportunities. And for some of you, it'll even help you to determine if there's an opportunity. Because if there isn't, I don't want to waste your time either. The county buys a lot. We don't buy everything. I can never promise, purchaser can never promise that you'll win. We never would give you that promise. But we're still responsible for making opportunities available, unbundling big contracts to make them small, make them sizable for our small businesses, giving them as much information in advance as possible, making sure they know how to complete the forms to go after bids, making sure they have the opportunity to meet the people who can probably help them in terms of subcontracting. Our job is to make sure we make that available. You have to connect all those dots to make that which is available an asset of yours. And that means each one of you have to do it. No one of you can do it for everybody else. This is where the rubber meets the road. You as a small business has to decide within your capacity. I get it. You're small and you're busy, but you have to decide this information that we're going to make available, how you can best use it to increase and or advantage your opportunity in the process. Our job is to make sure it's available. We don't want it to be hidden. We don't want it to be a secret. That's why we're here. Okay. So thank you for the survey. Hopefully everybody responded. Now we're at Q&A. So staff, let's get at it.
Sandy, good morning. Let's see. Good afternoon, everyone. So first question, Kamlesh Saxena, and excuse me for butchering your name. We are a small business offering professional engineering consulting services in transportation. Can you give us an overview of opportunities in this area? Thanks.
So, okay, beautiful question. The first thing I would say to you is that you want to pay attention to MAP. You want to go online through Penny for transportation or for our MAP, Google it. You want to then see the listing of all the projects that are currently MAP or surtax approved, who have dollars already awarded and available. And you want to take a look at those specific transportation contracts or opportunities on the front end, because you're the front end of this. But you also want to pay attention to the link in MAP that speaks about the MPO as they're reviewing projects, Metropolitan Planning Organization. And you definitely want to trail transportation specifically in the Broward County Transit's website, their website and the MAP website, because they're talking in advance of what they're planning to do. So you get to see what projects right now they're talking about for 2024, 2025, what phase or steps they're in. And then that's where you can potentially find where your carve out opportunities may be, even before they ever let it. Another good example for you specifically, transportation will definitely be key at the contracting opportunities meeting that will be coming up in October. So those would be your starts. To look at the active websites, because it tells you all the actual projects, and then definitely trail transit and all of their activities related to surtax and those that aren't related to surtax. And definitely don't miss the October meeting when we start advertising it, because the transportation people will be there.
All right, thank you. Anais asks, good morning, please. I want to know if Broward County also helps with WOSB certification.
No, we actually don't. Broward County helps with our local CBE and SBE and our federal DBE and ACDBE. But for any other women-owned service businesses, any veteran-owned businesses, any services-able-owned businesses, or any 8A type businesses or programming, you can go to our website and get the information for our SBA contacts, and they'll tell you who helps with those additional trainings. And actually, one of the things I think we're going to try to do before the end of the calendar year is to do a training with the other federal programs, because I do need to make sure that my small businesses are aware. There is so much procurement happening on the federal side with all the different federal programs and certifications. So we are going to be looking to have our partners at the SBA come and just do a deep dive on all of their certifications and their programs. But the short note, we only do the certification for our local programs and the technical assistance and certification for the federal DBE and ACDBE program.
Thank you. Karen, Multimedia Works. We're an SBE CBE award-winning media company with a niche in construction videos. We don't see opportunities written into contracts for this type of service, that is documentation or for community outreach information or as a useful function. Will this change?
And Karen, it may not change, but it probably means that's something you need to carve out when you really connect the dots. So let's take MAP, let's take surtax. Surtax can only be used for transportation operations, transportation services, infrastructure in the county, and the 31 cities in the future of the rail. So let's focus on the cities. The cities are for the first time using our small businesses. They're required to. But the cities are also getting these funds under MAP. The cities probably are the best opportunity for you to go introduce yourself and to make sure that they recognize you can probably help them publish, promote, advertise the successful uses of those dollars. Again, we've had, and it was on one of the slides, we've had that type of a bid go out. One of our small businesses won that bid. If it comes back around later, if you're a certified small business, you'll get that notification. But if I'm talking to a small business right now, yes, you want to see how do cities do their outreach. And if they're not, you want to see if they're interested in doing their outreach. You want to see if the prime contractors who are winning the contract with the cities are required through the city's agreement to give videography displays, picture displays, or drone covered picture displays. Because if so, that prime contractor could then use a small business But Broward wouldn't know that. The cities might have that as a requirement. So that's a good pitch, if I'm you, to the different cities, because you understand surtax, you understand the utilization of small business, and you want to see from a marketing side, hey, city, why not build that into your cost? Hey, city, you're going to be doing projects for years. Why not require the prime contractors to give some sort of a display, A through Z, pre-contract, during contract, post-contract of the work that's actually being done? See, that's something that they can decide to do. Again, we are doing that as a county. We already put a bid out. We already got a small business who won that contract. That's already happening. But I don't know if it's happening cities yet. So to answer your question, you need to remember, there's at least 25, 27 of the 31 cities who are all surtax or MAP eligible funders.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Laporte is also in the media area, and he wants to know where to go looking for opportunities. He says he thinks advertising might be the area.
He thinks advertising might be the area. So think about it. If he thinks advertising might be the area, then the question is, who needs, wants, or desires advertising? Again, the county's bid will probably come up again. I'm not sure if the contract was a 2 or 3 year contract, but again, you can go to our website, you can check the newsletter out or the previous slide, because this will be posted probably by Friday, if not next Monday. And you can see the slide of who our small business is who won that advertising contract. So guys, here's a good one as an example for homework. If this person who's asking this question sees this presentation this Friday, he goes back and he finds the slide where he saw that, I think it was Adapt Consulting. And he see that they're the ones who won the advertising contract. Do you know that that person can go to that contract? Do you know that purchasing, and if purchasing is still here, they can tell me if I'm wrong. See, purchasing still has a page that has all open contracts on it, where you can even get a little bit more information. If that contract is open, purchasing has that page. That's the point about doing the homework. If nothing else, bare minimum, he can get the name through our slide. He can still go to the penny for transportation. I got to stop saying that because it's still a Google. You can still do that one. He can still go to the MAP website, which lists all the projects, which lists all the contracts, and he can see that company and he can see the contract that they want. That's the point about simple homework. So who else is doing it in the future? I don't know, but as we know, we're going to certainly report it. But because we definitely know the counties already did it, we got a small business who won it, you can research everything about what that scope is, what the services were, who won it, what the dollar values are, and now you're ahead of the game. You can even find out if that contract was a 3-year with 1 option year, when is it end? That means potentially, when does it come up again? That information is available as an example, just by going to the website and reviewing the projects or using the purchasing page to see open contracts, which means if it's still open and someone's being active, they got information on that project as well.
Mr. Laporte has a couple other questions, which I'm going to kind of combine, including can he come visit the office, which I've answered for him. Yes, we encourage him to call and make an appointment. He wants to know, can he get some help with the first bid? Again, as a small media company, where does he begin?
So, and it begins with the first bid, but I got to tell you, again, 77,000 businesses in Broward. You really need to tell us, that's why you need to come in or have a call. What do you mean some help? Today was help, and I'm smiling because I want to give you more help. Based on who you are and where you are, you want to find a bid that sounds like you. So that is a good question, Mr. Laporte. You want to find a bid that sounds like you with the capacity of the range that might fit you. And that's the first ones you want to go after. You don't want to go after one of my $10 million bids. You don't. But you also heard me when I was speaking to Karen earlier on this advertising or this public relation or this marketing side. You now know, once you go to that website for MAP and you read the mission of MAP, how the county and the cities are supposed to use this money, how we're supposed to be transparent to the community. You now might be carving out a piece for yourself to pitch the cities, especially cities who don't have big public relations or advertising or marketing departments. You might be telling yourself, you know what, 25 or 27 cities? Let me not worry about the Fort Lauderdales or the Hollywood or the big ones. maybe let me check out the mediums of the smaller cities who are getting this surtax money. And let me see if I can talk them into carving out a piece for someone in my industry. Now, notice how I changed that for someone in your industry, because they're probably not going to carve out a piece for you, but they might like what you're saying and carve out a nice little $25,000 or $1,700 contract just to get some photos or some advertising. But they would probably still put it for bid, but the fact that you are a small business, you can respond. Or if they decided, as I mentioned to Karen earlier, to make it a requirement of the prime, hey, you need to tell that story, pre, during, and post. Then the prime gets to use one of our small businesses to tell that story. So that's where I think you really get your start. And if it's not MAP, it's anything else that the county's doing. If you're a certified vendor and you're registered with us, if you're registered with the county and certified with us, you'll see the bids that come out about advertising. And to your point, some of those are large. That might not be you. This MAP, and especially working with the cities, could possibly be a nice starting point, a sweet spot for you and other small businesses.
All right, Chris Rourke, what happens when you have a product that has no competition because it uses renewable energy, biodegradable lubrication, et cetera? Is there a unique vendor certification program?
There is no unique vendor certification program. If you think you're doing something that no one else is doing or that you're unique, yep, on the people side, you want to try to find the right agency to share that information. Respectfully, I'm not sending people to commissioners, but when you do your homework, you want to try to find out who's the champions in Broward with renewable energy. You know, again, you want to determine, are those type of bids actually going out, or are they a part of larger bids? The key is, if you know what you do, and I'm gonna go ahead and give a part of my entrepreneurship program. Folks, all of you are businesses. I'm gonna tell you two things about all businesses. There's so many, but I'm just gonna take two. All businesses need to know their industry. You got to know what you do. You got to know what your competitors do. You got to know what you do better than them. You got to know what they do better than you. You must know your industry. But after knowing your industry, you got to know your audience. Who needs what you're having, what you have, what you're selling, what your product is? If you're talking about government, who's the champion in that county based on what I'm doing or what I have? At the end of the day, if I'm looking for funding sources, who is backing through foundation and CDFIs or financial institutions of what I'm trying to do? Who needs to buy what I have, but they don't know I exist? Who needs to buy what I have because they're getting it from somewhere else and I got a better price? Who needs to buy what I have because they've never even known it? As a business, inclusive of my certified small businesses, you must know those things because those are the points that help you identify where your opportunities are. So you said a buzzword, renewable energy. So if you really were trying to introduce something that you're saying no other vendor does, then if I'm you in any county, in any state, with any city, I find out who the champion is for renewable energy and I try to set up that meeting, especially to your point now, you said it, if you're the only vendor. Because if you don't see it as a part of a bid where the county anticipates there are more vendors, then we don't have a unique certification. However, the business side of you says, I just need to find the commissioner or someone who champions energy, renewable energy. That would be my thought.
All right, Sandy. Mr. Laporte asks again, do we have an Access Help Broward just like Miami?
Do we have a what now?
Let's go Access Help Miami, I guess, and he wants to know if there's an equivalent. I'd like to say we're it, but I'm not sure what that is.
Yep, so I apologize. So do this, call us or email us, describe what Access Miami is, and we'll tell you who the equivalent is if it's not us.
Carlene wants to know, is there a limit to the number of bids that a company, certified or not, can win in one fiscal year, for example?
Not that I know of. This is a capitalist society. If they have 92 bids and you're fortunate enough to win 91, as long as you got the capacity to deliver and produce. Purchasing, you got anything to say about that?
Agreed. There is, some examples where sometimes though, if it is, we've solicited out 15 and the vendor was getting 13, confirming that the vendor does have capacity to do all of that because, that puts the county or the vendor at risk. So what you're bidding on, you need to make sure that you can commit to.
Thank you for that.
Miguel wants to know how does he can learn more about getting started to become a CPE?
Oh, beautiful, Miguel. So the first thing you can do, and staff did this a while ago. I didn't, staff did. I love it. There is a CBE certification application now online. I always tell anyone who's asking, read the application in its entirety. Then do yourself a favor. There's a video, not my scratchy voice, somebody else's voice. Watch the video that will walk you all the way through the application. If you're comfortable, fill it out. If not, check with us. You can set up that appointment we're talking about. You can get some more consult, or you can start the process and realize you got 2 questions, hold the process and come back and ask us the 2 questions, go back and complete. The start, we intentionally made simple with the application online and with the video. From time to time, our events calendar, you will see completing your local certification application. We do hold technical assistance workshops where we'll walk you through, just like the video would, one of my staff would. So that's online on our website right now.
Thank you, Sandy. We have a number of questions, and I realize in the interest of time, we may not get through to all of these, but a lot of very specific about types of work or bids. Are there any fleet detailing management opportunities was one. Somebody sells curtains to hospitals, wants to know how they can offer those products. That's something specific maybe you might want to speak to.
So yeah, across the board, guys, and this again, your audience. So I'm going to take those 2 examples. One was fleet detailing and others was curtains to hospitals. So here we go. Let's start with curtains to hospital. That's not Broward County government. That's Broward Health and other hospitals. It's not Broward County government. So we like to help our folks understand that though we all use the same name interchangeably, Broward Health, Broward Schools, Broward Government, ours is more Broward Government. So to help all of you, you actually could send us an email. You can send me an email. Send me an email. Tell me what it is that you provide. We'll take a peek to tell you if the county has procured your good material and service over the last 3 or 5 years, and we'll shoot that back to you. If so, then you can start the homework I was describing to find out who those agencies were so you can start researching what future opportunities are. But at least we can help you in those specific areas. But as you heard me say, you got to know your industry, know your competitors, as well as know your audience. That's always a starting point. So definitely for the hospital, when you mention hospital, they do their own procurement. But when you send us that, we'll give you the contact information for our friend. I just met with her earlier this week, Miss LaFloyd. And she does the procurement for Broward Health. And we can make sure that we introduce her to you. The same with the fleet detailing. You would have to send that to us. And then I would certainly check with the county and see how often we do that bid, because we do that bid. I've even known that since I've been here, I've had 2, if not 3 small businesses who won that bid, but that's a part of the process. So if you're certified and that bid comes back out, we'll let you know. But if you send that request, we can tell you the last time that it did come out. There is fleet detailing or car washing that Broward County does procure. And small businesses have played a role in that since I've been here. We can let you know.
All right. There was a question I wanted to ask. Oh, if we are selected to present a bid, can we get some coaching on submitting it?
If you were selected to present a bid. So no, you probably won't get any coaching from us. Again, I can't advantage you over others, but you want to take advantage when we do the workshop, or when we do the workshop with purchasing, or when my ED side does the workshop about pitch, to make sure you understand how to present. And we are going to do a workshop. Thank you for whoever asked that question. We are going to do a workshop about the pitch or the presentation, because we recognize the county has made rules recently in the last 3 years that's going to allow small businesses to get more to the steps of presenting. Most of them have been subcontractors, strictly hard bids, never had to present. We got some other steps now that's going to allow more small businesses, as we just did with our janitorial, to present. Because of that, we said we want to start doing some trainings on presenting. So it's probably not going to happen with you winning any one specific bid, contacting us, and we giving you some tips and tools. But it is going to happen in a larger picture of making sure that you know all the who's, the what's, the when's, and the where of presenting or introducing your opportunity if selected. So we're not going to leave you hanging. There'll probably, other than a workshop, be no one-on-one that during the bid, I can tell you, this is what you need to write. I'm just telling you by ethics and policy, that won't happen. But will there be classes or courses or workshops to explain that prior to? The answer is yes.
And Sandy, I'll jump in there, specifically also on the purchasing division's website when it comes to requests for proposals. Even though the individual meetings might be closed for that presentation during that exact moment, we do post afterwards, so vendors can see, right, how do other vendors present, what was the winning bidder? Again, it's back to market research, and you can kind of see what others did that might have made their presentation really shine.
Good point, Connie. And again, that's a part of research and homework. Heck yeah, if you can see what somebody else did in your industry or a similar industry as a part of a presentation, that certainly will let you know what the evaluators and others are looking for. And then you want to just make sure you hit those main points. Again, no one knows your industry better than you. You need to know everything about your industry and your competitors. You need to know exactly based on what someone's asking to procure, how you can fulfill that. And again, that pitch or that presentation to that audience should be seamless simply because they're looking at you as that expert.
All right, let's wrap this up with one more question. Tony Farber, what is the status for an opportunity to meet primes or architects face-to-face that require CBE structural engineers to attain CBE goals?
The opportunity is, Tony, is the same. Whenever there's a project that's being led where we're doing a meet and greet, that's the opportunity to meet the primes that we're coordinating. Other than that, is what we talked about throughout the presentation. The familiarity of a potential opportunity and just identifying. Here's an example. We just finished with COMTO, the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials. Their conference was here. Mostly all the national primes, including regional primes, that would ever look to do any bids on our upcoming transportation opportunities were there. So someone would have been interested in being there because each of those primes had booths. So similar, if transit is talking about doing transportation opportunities coming up or public works, and at the end of the day, we're doing a workshop where we're going to make them available, those are the time to meet those. So as you know, we've done some of those. There is no standing list of all the county of all the primes that we could send you where you then can now go through that list, but through past projects. And that's a good little piece of research and homework, but it's easy. Through past projects, you can identify the primes. And again, if it's a project coming and we're working with the agency and purchasing, we're going to do a meet and greet. We still own that. But if there is no meet and greet and there's a proposed project, you can identify the primes or the likely primes. And that's when you send someone your capability statement. It may not be a meeting. We go assure working with purchasing and user agency. When we know in advance and we can do a meet and greet, we bring in the primes in the room. That's our intent. But when that doesn't happen, it doesn't take away from the idea that even right now, someone can go to the county's website and you can find out from aviation and transit who have been the primary primes on their projects over the last 5 years. If you got that list, I'm saying before another project is ever even announced on the county's capital outlet or county's capital project list, before they ever announce, if I'm a CBE, I want to introduce myself to them, period, right now, before projects ever announced. Because at the end of the day, once that project is announced or once that bid actually goes out, it is going to require the utilization of a CBE. And if I need to be on the front end, then I certainly want to do it before a bid is ever announced. So we're still going to be working with purchasing and user agencies based on proposed projects, especially after the October meeting, to start doing more meet and greets so you can find these primes on the front end. But until that happens, or in case that doesn't happen fast enough, I would still say based on projects that are currently listed on the agency's websites, projects that are currently listed, and the capital project plan to get approved for the new fiscal year in October, knowing those projects are gonna go to the street eventually. That's where right now you start identifying most likely primes. Who are some of the most likely primes? The same primes that's already at aviation, the same primes that are on transit, or the same primes that you know who are big in that industry. That's just another tip to get to it before we ever do a meet and greet. Because think about it. If you at least introduce yourself that way, whether they respond or not, if we end up with the meet and greet, you get to see them face to face and remind them, I'm the person that sent you a communication 2 months ago. But in the end, remember, as a small business, you want that opportunity to nurture that relationship. And competitively with everyone else on the call, you want that opportunity as soon as possible. So someone is going to end up saying, you know, it's kind of easy for me to go to the county's website and find out the existing primes at aviation or transit. And I might as well just write down the contact information. Someone's going to do that and someone's not going to do that. But to someone who's going to do that, if they then stumble up on a meet and greet 3 months later, they have a better conversation. I'm the person that reached out to you 3 months ago. I'm the person who wanted to introduce myself and the opportunity that I can provide to you and your team as a CBE or as a DBE. I'm saying you're absolutely right, Tony. We want to be aggressive about that. We're going to continue with purchasing and user agencies to have as many meet and greets as we can. I think we're getting comfortable to these face-to-face. So you should think about those starting. But even before that, I would just try to go get some of those regular players, some of those better known players, or some of those more familiar players that have been here with Broward for quite some time. But thanks for that question. So guys, this is it. Staff will take whatever was remaining and they'll send to me. I'll certainly respond. We'll respond. If I told you to send me something about a follow-up, please do so. But thank you for participating. Connie and purchasing, thank you guys for hanging in there with us. We look forward to the workshops down the road that OESBD will be doing with purchasing. But guys and girls, at the end of the day, you must recognize that now that you're certified, it is still work. Now that you're certified, a lot of the folks you think you need to meet, you're never going to meet. But based on all the information that I gave you, and even more, you have to decide which of that information you can use that best puts you in position to either respond to a county bid or to work with the prime to utilize you versus one of the other CBEs. Because you know, we don't tell primes who to use, we just give a go. And yes, we're still trying to even do more on the front end where the county isn't as aggressive with all of its agencies as we are on the back end. But even with that being said, if I'm a small business, I want to meet everybody I can who can potentially allow me to leverage my opportunities. And to that last question, sometimes that's more primes than it is county agencies, because primes are required by BOA to use you. So thank you guys. Look forward to seeing you soon. Hope you read the newsletter tonight. And though we got a lot of trainings coming up in August and September, that October one that we'll be talking about 3 weeks from now to give you the real dates, that will be the contracting opportunity where we will bring into a room the county major agencies and tell you about what they're looking to do in 23 and in 24. But with that, thank you all. Purchasing, thank you again. Everybody have a good week.
Thank you for having us.